Hey, everybody, it's the Tuesday Night Music Show, and it's me, and it's my posse here. Brian is off tonight. Brian's got something going on, so he could not make it in. Others are not going to be here tonight. I do have Eric. I do have John C. I've got Damon, and I have Kevin. And we're only here because of the fine people at DJ Event Planner. So you want to make sure you support them. Down here in the description of the video, you'll see all the sponsors that take care of us here at DJ NTV, so we can do these great videos for you. As you know, the Tuesday Night Music Show is about music, but we're going to entwine something else. We're going to bring in DJ John C. from Boston, where I am from, where Eric is from, and we are going to include a record roundup. So we're going to start with the record roundup, then we're going to talk about some throwback music. And I've got something for those of you that might be a little bit young like me. I'm going to start with this. Does anyone know what we used to call these things? Hold on, let me open it up. Inside, I've got this thing.
Oh, coffee coaster. I love those.
Yeah.
It's a mini frisbee.
Yeah.
This is a CD, kids. Those of you that are tuning in for the first time wondering, I don't want to get too much light reflection. This is something, and I made a lot of noise here in the chill, that I bought what was it, 2 years ago I bought this because it's out of print, and I couldn't get it. This is a local Orange County, California band called Common Sense. And when I was first dating my beautiful wife, Michelle, I used to go see these guys in San Diego with my wife, and she would see them at San Diego State. I would see them in Pacific Beach or in Ocean Beach. They played all over. They're a reggae band, but what I always liked about them was they did covers. And the reason I paid and bought this off of Amazon used was because I had to have their version of Hey Joe and Sexual Healing. And they're both featured on this. It's actually a great disc. Pretty much every track on it is really good. They had a funny pop sensibility about their reggae. They weren't just like that straight Bob Marley kind of in the middle reggae. They would kind of bring in a lot of funk, almost a little Chili Pepperish, but they had a really good pop sensibility, great vocals, great guitar. Not last time I saw him, but one of the times I saw him in PB, the drummer from Arsenio Hall's band was playing with them. And this guy was laying down grooves like it was going out of style. So my pick tonight, check this band out, Common Sense. The album is Psychedelic Surf Grooves, and it's really, really good. So if you want some cool reggae, something that's perfect now in the summertime, this is where you want to go. So I think I will hand it off to the man that originated this concept, started it, and he's gracing us from the 617. Let's take it over to DJ John C.
All right. That's a good pick. Good pick, Jay. Just the title and artist again, just in case anyone wants to go looking for that one.
In case anyone didn't pick it up, it is Common Sense.
Common Sense.
Common Sense. And again, I apologize about the lighting. I've got Common Sense, and the album is called Psychedelic Surf Grooves. I don't know if that's being picked up properly.
Very cool.
Jay, I'm glad you explained to people what type of band they are, so they don't get confused with the rapper Common, who used to call himself Common Sense when he first started.
And there is another Common Sense that's a little bit more rap.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's throwback on Common, because if you look for Common Sense, it might be Common stuff. So I'll even have to investigate that. But yeah, this is a local Orange County, San Diego band. And what's funny is they're still around. They just played here. Well, first time I saw them was 94.
Yeah.
And they'd been around before then. So really talented group. So
I'm familiar with them. Yes, they are.
Yeah. Perfect. See, this is why we're here, folks. Here's a techno guy from Detroit who knows about this. This is where you find true professionals who aren't just sitting in their own lane, driving at 10 miles an hour going, I only stay here. Now,
we take leaps and bounds, reaching out of the box.
Absolutely.
You know, we're not sitting in the green grass just yelling at the clouds.
If we were in green grass, I would hope we had high tides because I'm a fan of the Outlaws. See what I did there, John?
That's what we do. We could just talk in song titles all night. That'd be an interesting show. You can only speak if it's a song title. I just wrote that down yesterday. We were talking about that last night.
Seriously.
So the record I pulled, I had to go in and re-rip this only because the newer versions is edited, which kind of made me sad. We just did a birthday tribute for one of our dearly departed friends, Jimmy Jimmy Spin, Sunday ago, and he was big into the freestyle, and he's big into the early New York hip hop and the stuff that was coming up early on. And I listened to a copy of a song that I was going to play on the broadcast. And the record that I pull through on Fantasy Records is going to be Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh Crew.
Ah, nice.
And if you got the 12-inch single, you've got The Show and Lottie Dottie, both on this one release.
What else do you need?
That's pretty good. Lottie Dottie is explicit. Just know that. But there is an instrumental, so if you had two copies, you could play them simultaneously and just cut the vocals off as the instrumental would play, and those particular lyrics wouldn't be there. But the part of interest that struck me on this, because the show is the jam, it's basically the groove to like Inspector Gadget, if you remember the da 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 da, right? Yeah, exactly. But there's a section towards the end of the song where between Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh, they broke into a verse from Michelle from the Beatles. Michelle, my belle. Apple Records and McCartney sued them to remove that because they had used it without permission. It wasn't a sample of the Beatles, but they used the lyrics of the song.
Yeah.
So the re-release and any newer release of the song, that section's omitted and it's not there anymore. I think just a little snip, and that's not there anymore. But I wanted to have the real one to play for Jimmy, so I had to go back to the record and re-rip it as an MP3. Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh Crew dates 1985. Hip hop was starting to come through, and we were getting our Run DMCs and our Houdinis and stuff. But if you were spinning in the mid '80s, everybody had a copy or two of this record. So that's my record roundup pick. If you get anything on that,
John, it's funny that you talk about them being sued by the Beatles and Apple Music. On the flip side, with Lottie Dottie, they also got sued because they used Taste of Honey. So a sample.
Yeah, the Sukiyaki tune, right? It's all because of you. Yeah. Just the lawyers are just going back and forth on that one.
Yeah.
All these rules.
Dougie Fresh had a cousin that was going to community college to become a lawyer, maybe, and he was writing up their contract.
He was going to handle all that. He was going to go through those contracts. No. They hand him that stack of documents, like 500 pages. He's like, "Yeah, I'll read that. Sure, I'll get to that." Yeah, that's probably just what happened. But you're right. That's the other side of it. Is they had to remove a sample out of that song too.
Steal an entire sample of a song, and nobody notices.
Right. Just change one key and a couple of lyrics, and you get the same song every 15 years. It'll just keep coming out forever and ever and ever.
Yep, it's those three chords. So, Damon, what do you got?
So that's fine. Who do you want to go?
Oh man, well, I'm not going there the rap category, or I'm not going there the pop category. On this one, I'm going to go to 1988, and this little band dropped a song called Headhunter. The group is Front 242 off the album Front by Front.
Wax Tracks time, everybody. Wax Tracks out of Chicago.
Get your Darkwave ready. Here we go.
Get Darkwave. Yep.
I mean, if you don't know that song, it's a hard-driven, just industrial song that, I mean, at 1 o'clock in the morning at a golf club, I mean, it's just, they would go crazy for that song. Yes. So, that's my song for today. So if you don't know it, go check it out.
88, that was that. Wax Tracks was a thing in 88, right, Jay?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
So you had Revolting Family Show.
Word, yeah.
Which then spawned Ministry.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And of course, one of my faves that I just would love to deep dive some night, My Life with Thrill Kill Cult.
Yes.
By Wax. Mm-hmm. I always include whenever I do Darkwave sets, I always include like Lords of Acid.
Yeah.
The Damned. I'll like reach, and I know that some hardcore fans like Lords of Acid weren't part of Wax Tracks. I know, but I just think they have that industrial vibe. It's like you could argue Rammstein, mispronunciation could come in there,
Yes.
We have a special treat tonight because we are now joined by the 6th member of the group, Brian K. It looks like you've got some vinyl or something in your hand. What do you got for us, Brian?
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Well, I'm not sure if this was reviewed once before, But let me get my background unblurred here, because I think it's going to blur out. I have the first album from somebody I met last week, and it's Miss Debbie Gibson.
Classic.
Yes.
And
Classic.
autographed Brian Kay.
Nice.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a keeper. Frame that on the wall.
This album, Out of the Blue, spawned 6 singles.
Whoa.
I didn't know it was 6 singles.
I didn't either.
It was first one was Only in My Dreams.
Yep.
Then Shake Your Love.
Yep.
A song that I never heard before. Red Hot
I don't
was
know.
a single.
You
Don't
guys
know
familiar
that
with
one.
that? I don't
know
think
that.
I know that either.
No.
We'll have to play that after class.
Yeah.
Fourth single was Out of the Blue.
Mhm.
Number 5 was Foolish Beat.
Yeah, I have heard that.
And the 6th single was called Staying Together.
Wow. That's an accomplishment for
So
6 singles off one record.
single, and she wrote every song on this album.
She's getting publishing
Oh
money.
man, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So at 16 years old. So that's my
Take that, Taylor
record.
Swift.
Yeah, take that, Michael Jackson.
Send hate mail to Brian S. Red. I show up and host your own show, Brian. Just the co-host comes in.
Yeah, all hell breaks
The
loose.
Swifties.
Yeah.
And how was she when you met her, Brian Kay? Was she super cool?
Yes, very nice. She only could give around 2 minutes per person because she had around 150 people in line to meet her.
Hey,
Wow.
still, man. 2
So
minutes.
she still
2
gave you
minutes.
2 minutes? That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a little pricey, but I paid $150 to meet her. So,
Hey.
it was a once in a lifetime deal. So
Hey, you know what? That's one of the beauties, and that's going to be part of the music talk that we do tonight about meet and greets and VIP packages and all that. I'm a fan. And
Yeah.
if you're a fan of a particular artist and you get that opportunity that you've never had before to get that one-to-one time, I mean, that's, I mean, when did that come out? 85?
87.
87. So you're looking at close to 40 years that you've had the opportunity to listen to it, and now you get 2 minutes to actually talk to the artist. I mean, I think it's good value. I really do, depending on who the artist is for you as the fan. But yeah, so I'm glad that was a good show, and that's a great record. We have not covered Debbie Gibson before, I don't believe. We may have covered a remix. I don't think we've covered her first album, but that's a great call, Brian. I appreciate you coming in.
And
Really
she was
good.
touring on her second album. The second album is Electric Youth,
Electric Youth? Yeah.
Yes.
and that's 35 years old, and that's what the tour is based on. The second album.
Okay.
Did she still play tracks off that?
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I hope you stay for the rest of the show. We're going to kick it down to Blurry, a.k.a. Kevin, unless it's just my vision.
She's in witness protection this week. Yeah.
I've been put in the witness protection program.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is the alias I was given for today. I don't know, for some reason the camera just decided to go all fuzzy on me. So sorry about that.
Hey,
That's all right.
I'll do
a lot of
some
our fans listen
afterwards.
to this show, so.
Yeah. The artist and the album I'm picking is one that's rock alternative. And the 2 songs are probably not the most upbeat songs that I am most familiar with from this album, but they are songs that I have a special connection with. And the first song is called Hate Me, and the second song is called Into the Ocean. And the artist is Blue October, and this is from their Foiled, which was released back in 2006.
Yep.
A lot of this has to do with depression, drug addiction, and that kind of problems. Don't have that problem, so don't go there. But, it's just the jive, the vibe of the music, especially Into the Ocean. It just had a nice melody to it. I'm more of like, I don't listen or I don't read the words and interpret. I listen to the sound it makes and how it's sort of like, oh, it flows nice. I don't get into reading messages and everything. I just like the flow of the music, and that's just a song that I happen across, and it's like I really like that. Then I heard Hate Me, a little bit more angry. It's based on the fact that it was drug addiction and how it really damaged the relationship with his girlfriend. And then Into the Ocean, from what I've been able to gather, it's like a deep dive into the lyrics of the loss over a loved one. So that's a little bit of what I've been able to read about the song that I really wasn't trying to get into the nitty gritty of it. Like I said, I just like the flow, the way the song, just the melody.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer in bringing up an album that means something to you.
Yeah.
You know? We're going to go to Eric, but thanks for bringing the mood down. Eric.
I'm going to pick
hopefully you've got nothing to do with addiction or other... No, I know the Blue October album. It's actually really...
it depends on how addicted you are to David Bowie. I'm going to bring up an album. It was released in 2018, David Bowie's Greatest Hits. It was a brand new vinyl from Argentina, Rare. And right now it is still selling for $49.99.
Wow.
Now, I was a little disappointed with the tracks on this. I was expecting Suffragette City, Rebel Rebel, and
is it a period greatest hits, like from this year to this year?
I think he's got like 3 other greatest hits records out already.
I know.
I know.
So many times with artists, like Elton John's got, I think, 7 greatest hits albums.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're getting the first run, then the middle period, then a little bit.
Right.
This is just called David Bowie Greatest Hits Vinyl, released in 2018. And I'll just read a few tracks off.
How many tracks are on it?
There's 5 on each side.
Okay.
Oddity's good.
5 and then 6. But Space Oddity.
Okay.
Life on Mars.
So far,
Lady
so good.
Stardust. Changes, which,
Yeah.
Queen Bitch. Can I say that here?
Oh, you just did.
Yes, sir.
I just did. What is it? Janine?
Oh, Genie.
Gene Genie.
Yeah. I mean, some of it,
English spelling.
Yeah.
Stardust is on side B, first track.
Okay.
Starman.
Great song.
The Man Who Sold
the Earth.
World.
Other world, yeah.
The World, yeah. Moon Age Daydream.
It's an old track.
Letter to Hermione. And There Is a Happy Land. I figured they could have got Suffragette City and Rebel in there.
I mean, there's probably 20 tracks that come to mind from me that are missing.
Yes.
But I wouldn't want to have to do a 10, because I think if we went around the room and said 10 top David Bowie songs, we could all give 10 songs.
And I bet
you'd be on a 3-disc
Yeah.
record set at that point.
I mean, yeah. Well, you can't do 10 Bowie greatest. It's like saying, what is it? Made in the Shade by the Rolling Stones is considered a best of album. And yet it's got Brown Sugar and some other songs. And you're like, this makes sense. But it's still missing so many other tracks.
Well, I think this album for $49.99 is missing some tracks that should have been on there.
Was it like a record day pressing? I know sometimes they put out like a rare, it's just cut for that one day. It's generally not in mass production. It's just up for the 180 gram record day or whatever, and it's collectible.
Yeah, I don't know if this means anything, but it's David Bowie's Greatest Hits 2018, brand new vinyl from Argentina, Rare. Maybe that means something.
You know what? And I've seen this, and John will know what I'm talking about if you guys aren't like deep into the Aerosmith, catalog. Oftentimes what bands will sign, as I'm to understand this, is you owe us 3 records, a live record, and a greatest hits. And what will happen is before the greatest hits will come out, bands will break contracts. Like Aerosmith has, I think it's called Gems. There's like 2 or 3 Gems albums. they're not going towards Aerosmith. They're going towards the contract to the record label. And they'll take, out of 10 songs, they'll take 6 songs you absolutely love, and then 4 songs that you barely recognize. So I wonder if it wasn't a contractual thing in 2018. You know, I mean, David Bowie died in 2017, 2018. When did David Bowie die?
Well, after Black Star, I think that was 2016, right? Didn't he pass the year after?
Okay. The fact that he was already dead tells me it was probably an old contract, maybe, or somebody had rights to publish certain things.
So he had no say in what went on the.
No, not. But it's
the funny thing. When you're calling this Argentina live, I'm wondering if this is a live recording from a concert.
Yeah, that's
because those are all the dating of those songs. You notice that like Under Pressure is missing, and there's no
Heroes is missing,
and there's no China Girl. It's like from that
there's
period.
Nothing off that old.
It might have been a show period. from pre-83.
Well, it didn't say live. It just said rare. So.
It's arguable at that point. It's arguable. And oftentimes, like I said, I've spoken to industry insiders. I've read the articles. I've read the magazines when they were available. You know, bands get put into contracts that oftentimes put them in a position where they owe something. And the label is happy to just say, let's regurgitate, these 7 hits that we know will do well and get a new fan base, but we'll also add in tracks that didn't do as well.
Yeah, or one track that you couldn't get from somewhere. It was in a movie soundtrack or something, or they'll cut one new song for the record to sell it, and you got to go buy the damn thing.
Right. Yeah. I don't think anyone would argue it when you hear the expression "the music business." The key word there is business.
Business. Yep.
And I've had some dealings with it. John's been involved in DJing for a very long time, done radio, done other things.
I got effed over on the contract before.
Brian Kay's been around. Kevin's got his thing. Eric, you're not new to this. There's a lot of things that kind of come and go in the system that dictate how things will sort of play out. And it's sort of sad, but you're an artist that's created some content. And back then you signed a contract with a company that said, go into this studio and make the best album of your life and sell it, and we'll promote it and we'll send you out on tour and everything's great. And the stuff behind, the door is, oh yeah, that $1 million it cost you to make the album, you owe us that money back. And
that too.
The tour, it lost $3 million. Yeah, that means you pay us back. There's a great video on YouTube if you ever want to watch, and it happens even in our industry as DJs, where Jazzy Jeff talks about going up on stage to get, I think it was his Grammy, either American Music Award or Grammy, with Will Smith. And as he's walking on stage, he in his head is going, I have $600 in the bank.
Yeah.
I am broke, but they are giving me this award. And I mean, we could spend a month doing a straight show talking about every one of us that's heard a story of an artist who is flat broke. And this is one of the things, and it's actually, Eric, thank you, because this is a great segue into what I wanted to talk about musically, which is the throwback market. But I also wanted to delve into the meet and greet thing because they run hand in hand. So what I'd love to do is kind of go around the room and see if there's any throwbacks that are really hitting right now. Presently, we're in July of 2024. Sometimes these shows are not coming up the next week. So I just wanted to give everyone a reference point as to where we are and what we're doing. And for me personally, at my events, I'm finding that the 90s is still doing well, particularly late 90s and early 2000. I can't point to a lot of brand new songs that are just hitting heavy rotation for my work. Primarily weddings, parties, birthdays, bar mitzvah, quinceanera, whatever. It's still going late 90s and early 2000. And I've learned over time, as all of you have, your audience and age is what dictates. If you have a 35-year-old bride and groom, their music is different than a 50-year-old bride and groom or a 22-year-old bride and groom. But there are some standards that seem to really be doing well. Bless you, Eric. And as I said, I'm finding that we talked about it before we went on camera. I'm playing Jimmy Eat World, The Middle, a lot. I'm playing Lit, My Own Worst Enemy, a lot. I'm doing The Call of a Generation, Mr. Brightside by The Killers, a lot. A track that I love that I'm still doing pretty much a lot of my events is Queen, Don't Stop Me Now. There are tracks that go with the period. That said, John, have you seen anything this year so far that you're finding you're still going for, or that you weren't playing, let's say, last year? Any new tracks on the horizon that are throwback older tracks?
Yeah, I think as the clients age, the parents are younger, which means that the bride and grooms are younger, which we can look at and say, where were they musically in that period? What did their folks listen to?
Yeah.
So that zone that you talk about, Jay, let's say that 96 to 2002, where all these alt bands were just kind of ramping up and getting started. You'd had like Third Eye Blind with like Jumper or Semi-Charmed Life. You'd have, it's just a little bit off. Not the aggressive rock side. We're not going to like the Limp Bizkits and the hard stuff, the Corns and stuff like that. But on the rock and alternative side, so to speak, like Flagpole Sitta, Harvey Danger, like everyone knows the words to that song. Why did that stay popular, and why didn't he do anything else? Like old Avril Lavigne hits. He played like Girlfriend or something
Skater
from
Boy.
Yeah, as far back as that. That whole zone, I think, is kind of where the nostalgic pocket is for alternative music, and there's a great amount of dance music that came through because you were just turning the corner to the techno revolution. It was right before Shares Believe and everything started to hit, like bands like Cascada and Deadmau5 and all that stuff was going to pop going right into 2000s. Everyone knows that stuff, and it's user friendly, and it's almost the safe word. It's like that you're not going to offend anyone playing something from that period of time. That there was just so much to pick from because everything was so different. And you can jump genres, and you could stay in that 10-year window because we were heavy on the 80s for a while, going into pre-COVID times. In the 90s, early 90s were what they were. There was a lot of bands that carried through, but that whole, I'm going to say like 97 to 03, 04, there were big changes in as far as what the sound of everything was, and a lot of that stuff stuck. Because we don't know what's going to stick until you get asked for it 30 years later, and you keep getting asked for it. Like Brightside, what was that, 2006, 7? That's an old song.
That'll never die.
That's never going away. And somebody told me it's just as good. And we talked about that the other night. And
exactly. It's generational. There's a period, it's a cry to the dance floor. And I forgot to mention when I did the intro of the topic, I saw on a couple of different news services the other day they called it pre-recession tracks. Mm-hmm. And they were saying that a lot of people's playlists are now including tracks from that 05 to 2009 period. But they were also going back maybe a year or two before. So you've got that really early 2000s. Tracks like Black Eyed Peas, I Got a Feeling, is, I guess, really gaining a lot of popularity with people now because it's that happy vibe.
Sure.
It's that
the stuff that Fergie did with them, Fergalicious, I still play.
I play Fergalicious. I play Glamorous.
Yeah,
Fergalicious is like on serious rotation in the last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good
for
thing,
a song that's older, it's
exactly, and you want, and we do as DJs. One of the things we talked about AI's, influence in the marketplace. Well, AI doesn't have eyes. It can't see something happen in a crowd. It can't react immediately to that. Yes, you might be able to plan a set and just go, I'm going to have a crowd from 21 to 35 and make me a set of music. Yeah, okay. We could do that ourselves and send it off to a club. But it's the in-the-moment reading, and it's the understanding how people react to certain areas. The fact that you brought up that techno thing, it's going to be interesting to see what Damon has to say.
I was trying to build a bridge, trying to give him something there going into that 2000s.
I love that bridge into the,
because that was starting to pop, you know.
And you did it, but I'm actually, there's no secret. I play a lot of '90s parties, the '90s R&B parties and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go back to like the end of the '80s to mid '90s when Chicago House and everything was coming along, Detroit techno, but everybody was trying to look for that cool dance hit. So when you had Robin S, Crystal Waters, and stuff like that all popping off in the clubs, there was this band producer, 20 Fingers, and he dropped a song with this lady female singer named Gillette, song called Short Short Man. I'm keeping it clean because we all know the original version.
No, I've got that on CD. It's on my drive. And now let me ask you, are you playing that now?
Yes.
Is that coming back?
Older soccer moms are going crazy for it.
Really? Because I've got it. Like and I'm like, it's on that list of tracks you have on your drive that you're like, I didn't make a crate, but if I did, it would be called Songs I'm Never Going to Play Again.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because this is what I love about this discussion. It's the learning aspect of, okay, maybe it's time to like take the dust off that track.
You got to think that song came out in '84, so you had all those 18 to 25-year-old girls that were going crazy for it in the clubs.
Who are now in their late 40s and
moms.
50s.
Right, now that they're moms, the kids are just about grown, and they're starting to come back out to these early events, you know, these '90s parties and stuff like that. This is hitting them. They're like, oh man, I remember this. And so, and I'm not telling people what to do, but if you get a chance to promote a '90s party, do it from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
100%.
Okay. That way you get all these moms that will come out, have fun, and be home by 11 o'clock, and they don't have to deal with the young kids. And they can hear all the '90s music that they love.
Preach.
And
you're 100%.
And that's one of the songs that goes over really big for me the last couple of '90s parties that I've done. So, short man, Gillette. So,
well, and before we kick it to Brian K., who's like, it's the summertime, so he's out at the camp killing it, because I see the videos, I see the photos. I've talked to more than one promoter in the recent past. So in your market, they're trying to take clubs over on Saturdays and do a 5 to 9, 5 to 10.
And that's what we're doing.
You get people that are young like me in their late 20s who don't want to be out at midnight anymore or 1 in the morning, but they want to party and rage and hear their music. It's their peak time, and these are their peak tracks. So, 100%. Brian K., what say you as far as any older tracks that you're finding that you're redoing this year, or is there a certain section of time that you're really playing into?
Well, I know a song that it made a resurgence. I don't know if it was this year or last year. Was Unwritten from Natasha Bedingfield.
Yes,
100%.
That's from 2004. That's 20 years ago.
And girls will sing that on the dance floor.
Word for word.
All run out and start screaming the words.
Yeah.
It's scary the first time it happens.
It was in some movie, I think. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily play this, but it seems like every time I go into the one club I'm the house DJ at, somebody's playing El King, My Neck, My Back. That song. She did a live version of the song, and they played on the they played on the jukebox all the time.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you know what? When the original one? Throwback. That's a period.
But she redid it live. I don't know. Like, there's a studio version of the song.
That's interesting. I've never heard it. Yeah.
Well, after our shows, folks, for those of you that care or are interested, what we'll do when we stop filming is any of the tracks that we don't know from each other, we'll play them.
Nice.
So that's when we.
I'd like to hear that L.
You should too, including Debbie Gibson's Red Hot, because I don't remember.
Yes.
100%. But yeah, it's funny. Like it, and I think as a DJ, you always want to be in front of the curve, which is the greatest gift a DJ can kind of get. And it's like, do I go back and say, I'm going to do my set tonight, but I'm going to focus on 2003 to 2006? Because if if you didn't know this, folks, if you come to my event, the way you can tell it's my event is at some point in the night, you're going to hear Usher, yeah, at every event.
Wait a second. I play that too. What do you mean that's your song?
What?
That's my song. I play that.
I too will play.
You
Usher.
can't have that.
What?
Oh,
Well, I thought I
play-
was alone on this.
I play at the prom every year. And
I play for children.
Man, I
they're
thought
all-
I was so good at what I do.
Jay's just trying to steal my things, okay? You see? He knew I was like the last one up besides Kevin.
No,
And
no.
he's like, okay.
We got, trust me, Kevin's going to take us down a Patty Smith road or something. He's got some other agenda. Kevin, come on.
I've always been accused of being outside the box. So
Hey, he's not blurry no more.
I know. I got out of the relocation program.
You're on a
Put a
dark
light
highway
on.
that nobody drives down at this point, but
Yeah.
I think this is where you win the crowd back, Kevin, and
All
give
right.
us something happy they can play that's a throwback.
happy. There's a song right there. Happy.
Because you're in Kevin, where are you, by the way?
I
You're
am
in
north of
OH?
Columbus, in Ohio, Buckeye.
Yes.
So I'm in rural country area, so I get a lot of country songs.
Okay, that's perfect.
But Country Girl, Shake It For Me, never got old. Always is a good one.
Yeah.
House Party is another one. Cotton Eye
Church.
Joe. Trying to think some of the other ones. But, I'll move on from them. Brian, he had the one that I knew was a gem that's coming back unwritten.
Yep.
Another
Never
one that
left.
I play for some of my crowds is Baby by Justin Bieber. Actually, for the younger ones, they
Yeah.
love that song. That's a sing-along.
100%.
That one I get a lot. Another one I play a lot, and I did this at my firework pre-performance show. I had a sing-along for the whole crowd. I was trying to set the Guinness Book of World Records for singing along to Sweet Caroline, and of course I dropped the sound, so everybody out there in the audience is participating and doing the bump, bump, bump. Another one that's a gem from the past that I play a lot is YMCA. Did that for the crowd there too, because I'm trying to, it's more family oriented. So I wanted to play more family generated songs. Now the day before I played, because it was the crowd in front of me, I was doing sound fill for a 3-girl trio singers, and everybody that was sitting in front of me was older than me. So I just played a lot of 60s music, and they were
That's
just
impossible.
Yes, 60s. I own some of that. So those are some of the things. If you want to go back into country, another one that I play usually towards the end of the night, Friends in Low Places. That's sort of a sing along. Everybody has a few drinks, and that's a classic that never gets old.
That's
I was
perfect.
down on my luck.
No, these are tracks that, again, other people can take. I was kind of expecting to hear about Jim Carroll or.
Well, another one, I'll throw one in for Damon that it's in that order of never can play. It's called, I don't know, I think we're allowed to say it, Pussy by Lords of Acid.
You can't say that.
I don't know where you at, but I can play that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one that I have never had the balls to play. In where I am
Wow,
at.
Kevin, way to get us thrown off by FCC.
Boy, he's swearing left and right over here. Yeah.
Now that we've gone to Ohio,
Hang on, the commission is on the phone. Hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah,
It's like
four-letter word.
48 hours
You're
and every other
monitored by
murder
the
mystery show.
FCC, okay?
No.
It's a 5-letter word.
But see, I kept it clean. All of a sudden, you just gonna drop that P word like that, man?
There you go. Well, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. It's been great being on here. I guess you'll see me on another random channel. The cast of characters. Hey, Eric, why don't you clean it up for us a little bit?
Oh, we're going to really clean it up.
Yeah, scrub-a-dub-dub. There you go.
Do something clean.
I'm going to do something real clean. In fact,
He's gonna say some Barry
so
Manilow.
clean.
Love Barry.
Like, here we go. It's for today's music, because that's what we're talking about today, and the throwback.
We're talking about what are you playing today that's kind of
Okay,
throwback.
this is what I get it. For the young crowd, like Kevin brought up, what works for me in this area, Drake, Rich Baby Daddy. I can't get away from it. They request it every gig
Yeah.
if there's a young crowd.
Sure.
As far as throwbacks, Shabuzi had nothing to do with this because I've been playing this for years as a throwback. Jaquan Tipsy.
The original Tipsy. Yeah.
Tipsy's definitely come back big time.
Worked every time, and the Tipsy come back now because of Shabuzi, I think.
That's a good observation I hadn't considered. Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Yeah.
No, I'm dead serious. No, because I started finding.
I thought it was busting me. Yeah.
No. You know what it is?
That was like 03, wasn't it? Or 304?
Oh, 304. But you know what it is for me? It's what I call funky mix.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these tracks, like my version of Tipsy is off funky mix. And all of a sudden you start deep diving a little and you realize, wow, you know what? Instead of just wondering, let me go back and pull up what else was on that disc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably got like What's Love from Fat Joe, and it's got a bunch of other stuff that's.
I played Lean Back, Fat Joe Terror Squad, and it's like I forgot about it, but I was like, oh, like I think in about 2 years I'll be playing like, Make It Rain again. But right now it's not there yet. You know what I mean? Like you have those DJ flashbacks, I call them, where you're like, I remember doing like I played P.D. Pablo out of Sean Paul recently, and I'm like, I did this 20 years ago.
Yeah, we all did.
Where I did Freak a Leak coming out of like, Give Me the Light or something.
Right.
I can't remember what mix it was, but I swear I've done this at another wedding, and I'm like, my brain is going, you remember this time you did this in San Diego, and now you're here.
But I gotta say, Jaquan still packs the floor better than Shabuzi, and I think that's just the way it's going to be forever.
Well,
Shabuzi tried. They
I think there's the investment.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one. I got
music
one more.
now. Okay,
go ahead,
sorry.
No, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I got one more, and then I'll leave it alone. But this is one I thought maybe Damon would bring up, or John, even you, Jay. That's a throwback that never fails. Just like the Killers and Cascada. Every time we touch, never fail, ever.
No,
younger people tend to jump around a little more with that. I used to close the boat.
They love it.
Yeah, that's a great end of night track.
Yeah, a lot of energy.
But I love it. I hate the message, but I love the track. I love Evacuate the Dance Floor.
Yeah.
Like I just love it. There's two tracks if I can, I'll play. Jay Sean, Down, because I just love that.
Yep.
I love that.
That's still good.
It's a great track. And same with Cascada, Evacuate the Dance Floor. There's just so much energy in it. It's
I want to hear that after the show too, because I
and then Tayo Cruz Dynamite. Throw that into Tayo Cruz Dynamite.
Tayo Cruz Dynamite. But if I do Tayo Cruz Dynamite, I'm Chris Brown forever.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm like, those two are like married to me, Tayo Cruz and Chris Brown.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch that we didn't bring up, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's hard.
No, we can't bring up everything.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But every time
one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, and Brian K brought it up, he went to a meet and greet. First section of the show, we were doing the record roundup. And it's one of those things that artists have kind of woken up to. And that is, we can sell tickets to the show for $20, but what if we offer the next tier? We have, you can do this, and for $100, you get in early. Some bands will do sound check with the audience. Some bands will do meet and greet. Some will do a backstage pass. There's all sorts of different tiers. And obviously it's a way to make money for the band. But what I think is important to understand is it's also an opportunity for the fan who maybe has spent their lives listening to this artist to have that connection that they've never physically or emotionally had. So what I'd like to do, and I'd love to see this in the comments from people that listen and watch this, what band would you pay to do a meet and greet with, that you've been a longtime fan of? So just underneath in the comments when this video is up, just put, I would do a meet and greet with so-and-so. So I'm going to go around the room. All I want is, would you pay to do a meet and greet? Yes or no? And if so, who would you pay to go to? Excuse me. So
Bless you.
Because there's a lot of bands that I would pay. There's
Yeah,
probably
so would
50 bands that I would pay to go backstage, hang out with, talk to them for a second, get to thank them for the great music over the years, ask them some key questions. Obviously, people know that my favorite band of all time is Aerosmith. And I've had the honor and pleasure of having a meet and greet with Aerosmith, and I've hung out with the original lineup backstage 24 years ago on the Just Push Play tour. So I've had that opportunity, and I've been lucky enough to meet all the members separately. But I don't want to kind of dominate the show here. So we're going to go around. Would you do a meet and greet? What band would it be? If it could be any meet and greet, any band, John?
Well, Eric and I recently just went on one, but I'll let him tell that story.
Yeah,
I will, because that involved the both of us, and it was just a case of seeing perhaps a once in a lifetime opportunity to see a group that can't do it, but that's his. So I would think it's more centered towards a legacy artist.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to sit with Barry Manilow or Neil Diamond or
all day,
it's just like, this not this be morbid, but I mean that could be it. This might be the last chance. Not that you'd run into him in like the produce section of the Stop and Shop, but to actually have an interaction with an artist that's been around, that's been the sound of your life forever. Like, can you imagine if the artists were doing it back in the day? Like, you could go meet John Denver or Jim Croce or Gordon Lightfoot, or just like all the knowledge. Like, but they didn't crack the code then. That wasn't a thing because it was like the artist was very reclusive and you only saw them when they played and then they were gone. No internet. I'd sit with Rob Halford for a bit. I'd like to just ask him because he's been in the game since the late '60s, playing rock, and he's now almost coming up on 80, and he still sounds like he did when he was a teenager. Like that. Yeah. He got some questions, and he's had quite the illustrious career, and I think he'd be fascinating. I would have loved to sit with Lemmy and talk to him because he was just, a reader and a book nut, and he could, pretty much, tell you tales about everything, and he looked like he was pretty funny, but I wouldn't want to try to outdrink him, that's for sure.
Now, I have to put this in parentheses. My office, when I had a corporate job as a director of entertainment for a yacht company, was in an area of San Diego called Hillcrest. And Hillcrest in San Diego is a flourishing, Brian K., I think would be the word I would use, gay area of San Diego. And I was at a 7-Eleven buying a Coke and I think something else. And I saw a man standing out in front, and I go, that guy looks so familiar. And I went in and I came out and I got in my car and I pulled out of the parking lot and I drove back around into the parking lot and I got out of my car and I walked over to him. This is 1998. And I said, hey, Rob, how's it going? And it was Rob Halford. And we hung out for about 20 minutes because he had a condo up there and he was meeting some friends to pick him up to go somewhere because he didn't drive then. And I don't think he does now. But I've gotten to meet him twice like that. And I also worked in radio in the 80s and got to spend about 2 hours on a Sunday night in beautiful Boston back in early 80s, 83, with Lemmy. And I can tell you everything you think about them is 100% true times 10. So it's these chance meetings we get. I would be broke if I went to every meet and greet like that. But you're right.
Yeah, you got to pick your battles there. Let's be like, what really matters?
100%. So, Damon, would you do a meet and greet, and who would it be?
Yes, I would definitely do a meet and greet. And the first band, I met them twice. It's The Roots. I've been down with them since mid '90s. I think Questlove is like one of the funkiest drummers around. I mean, his kit is so simple. It's just the whole vibe of them is just they're a true hip hop band. So with 100%. That being said, I mean, I met them twice. They're great guys. Everybody was really cool when I met them. The one I would definitely pay for would be the Chili Peppers. I've been a big fan of them for years. Never got a chance. Seen them play, but never got a chance to do a meet and greet with them. So, I mean, Chad, their drummer, he's actually from Michigan.
I was going to say he's a Michigan guy.
He's a Michigan guy. But I never got a chance to, hook up with him. I think Flea just Man, just watching him play, the energy that he puts out when he plays. I mean, does he keep
Incredible.
that energy up the whole time when he's offset? I mean, not playing or what? That's what I want to know.
He seems like he's always on 1,000. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
I've
thing.
seen interviews with him, and he's just Flea.
Yeah,
He's
just
that
play.
guy.
Right. And then, of
Yeah,
course, the lead singer, I mean, hell.
Anthony
So,
is.
Anthony, yeah. I would just love to sit on this talk with those guys. So I would definitely pay for a meet and greet with them.
I never thought of them as a meet and greet band, but yeah, I'd pay to see them too.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're four great individuals. They're one of those objects of where the sum of the parts is greater than the total
Right.
package or
Individual,
whatever that
Yeah.
expression is.
But when you put them all together,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
lightning.
it's
Absolutely.
lightning. Yeah.
That's a great one.
Okay.
Now, we know you already did a meet and greet, so we know you would do a meet and greet, Brian K. Who else besides Debbie Gibson would you say, yep, I'm going out tonight, I'm paying the money, I'm doing a meet and greet with?
Well, I never saw the opportunity for a meet and greet with this person, but I would pay. And he is on my bucket list, tops on my bucket list of artists that I would love to see. Well, I've seen him in concert. Many people don't know this 9 times.
Oh, I know who this is.
And
Is it who I think it is?
It's Mr. Garth Brooks.
Oh, no, I was going
Wow.
to say Breaking Benjamin.
No, Garth Brooks is my favorite singer of all time.
Does he do meet and greets though?
I have no idea,
I don't know. That's a good question. I
but
don't know if he
I've
does.
seen him in concert. Is it 9 times?
9 times.
Right in front of me, I have a wall of copies and copies, like this Greatest Hits CD that came out, I don't know what year.
I have that.
Like,
That's
I have an
cool.
autographed copy of it that was bought from St. Jude's, St. Jude's telethon
Right.
auction.
Nice.
I paid $200 for an autographed CD.
You're a fan.
Yeah. There's no
Absolutely.
certificate of authenticity, but I know it's his signature.
Yeah.
But I would love
Yeah,
I would love to meet him.
By the way, the reason, folks, Brian K. did see and pulled the Debbie Gibson on us tonight, and then you hear him talk about Garth Brooks, and you think, oh, that's what he's into.
There's my girl.
There you go.
Yep.
Tiffany.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you, Brian K. is down with Breaking Benjamin big time. Am I right, Brian?
I was disappointed last time I met him, though.
But you've seen them how
Good.
many times?
At least 12 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Debbie Gibson and Breaking Benjamin, kids. You can be fans of both. Kevin, would you do a meet and greet, and who?
I was good though I was later. I did have some thoughts. I like the idea of doing a meet and greet, but I look at it as a double-edged sword, which Brian just barely touched on, because you could be big fans, and you talked about earlier before we started the show, some artists you've been around, or that some of them have been around, have been royal pains in the
Yeah.
Dookuses. So it's like, do I want to take that gamble of ruining what I enjoy, their music, with a sullied meet
That's a
and
good
greet?
point. That's a good point. Yeah.
So
The expression
but
is you never meet your heroes.
Yep.
yeah,
Right.
you always be, you could possibly, not always, could possibly be disappointed.
Right.
I did have an opportunity. I went to a local multi-band event, and one of the artists was selling their merchandise, which I understand. It's merchandise. You have to pay for it. But they were also offering, for a higher amount, you could do a rub elbows with them meet and greet.
Yeah.
And to me, I looked at it as a strictly cash grab. I know time is money, but I rather they would have, instead of just, we want your money, let's say we take a little bit of your money, we donate it to charity, something that you feel good about. Instead of just, I want your money, I'll maybe disappoint you in person. So I don't know. The group that I had the opportunity, which I wouldn't have mind meeting them, but I don't know again whether they were going to be cool guys or not. Theory of a Dead Man. Another one that I always liked, that from growing up, and I had pretty much all her albums coming out, Belinda Carlisle.
She seems like she'd be a sweetheart.
Yeah, it's not a written in stone like you have to do a meet and greet. And the first time I read about a band, and I'll tell you who it was LA Guns. And it was like I was going to see him, but it was like, do you want the $20 ticket or the $60 photo or the $130 backstage or the $250 sound check photo
experience, whatever,
backstage experience? And I thought for about 6 seconds, I went, this is ridiculous. What are these guys thinking? And then it dawned on me, you know what they're thinking? They're fans from back in the day when it cost $10, $5, $4 to go see them, are now in their 50s and 60s. And yeah, you know what? They've had a great life listening to this band. So to spend $250 that now they're comfortable with their money they have. I love your sentiment on that, Kevin, about, do it towards a charity. And that would be great. And I think there's artists like a Dave Matthews who would probably do something like that. Yeah. But there's also 25,000 people in the crowd. It makes it difficult maybe to just segregate your time and what it's for and everything else. So I love your perspective on it. I really do.
Yeah. The other thing I thought about is like maybe like, I don't have time for everybody who would give. Maybe I can, give a few people the opportunity, a handful, and it does go to charity. And because I saw that, it did affect my great love for them. It did diminish it, I will say some. It's like, because I looked at it as they want my money. It's not enough that I come to see them and everything. And that's a personal opinion. That's just mine.
No, and I respect that you're willing to say that, because we're all being very positive about, here's this band, I'll pay him a couple $100 and look what I get. And you're giving a completely legitimate.
Well, like I said, I'm always outside the box, and I look at dollars maybe a little bit more critical than other people do. You have every right to, because you've worked hard for what you have. And I know they're so far out in what they're making that they don't look at the same dollars that I look at it.
Right. And that's totally legit. I respect what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Eric, we're going to end with you.
We're going to go real quick because I know we're short of time.
Okay.
I did do 2 meet and greets. Well, 3. The third one with John, with Lennon and friends. But to me, they were just, they're not stars. They're not, they're in whatever. You get what I'm saying. Yeah. And it was a challenge for Brian S. Red for me to be out of this, to get a picture of that good-looking chick there. But anyway, but I did do a meet and greet with Randy Travis. My tickets were upgraded from the radio station that I got the down-to-earth guy, very cool, and I loved it. I did another meet and greet, but this was for my wife back in the day. I won't tell you what number it was, but it was a wife, and it was Joe D. Messina. Anybody familiar with her?
Boston. Yeah, she's a Boston girl. Yeah,
Heads, Carolina.
Yes. And I paid a lot of money for the meet and greet, and I didn't care. I just wanted her to do it. Go. And I was in the room, obviously, because it was too. And you know what she says to her? All the money I paid. And she goes up, oh, I love the way you dance when you sing. I'm like, that's all you're going to say? And they took a picture, and that was it. Yeah. But listen, if I could go back in time, which I can't now, I would have loved a meet and greet with John Lennon. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And again, it's I hope people don't take it as a loaded statement or question. There's always going to be a perspective and a perception, and they're not always hand in hand or the same thing. You have to make these decisions for yourself. I don't bemoan anyone for making a business, making a living, and if their way of doing it is, I charge for this, this, and this, fine. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of bands, and I'm sure it's no different today. Go to a small club, there's usually a bus with a trailer behind the club. If you want, do what I used to do. Go around the back of the club, wait for the show to end. The band's going to come out. And a lot of times they're really cool about hanging out with their fans. But I just wanted to get a perspective. And like I said, I'd love comments down below when this video goes on YouTube. Let us know. Outside of that, I appreciate everyone paying attention to what we had to say tonight.